We're going to bring in now one of the New Yorker writers who broke the story, Ronan Farrow. He did it along with Jane Mayer, and our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. And Ronan, let me begin with you. As I said, this all exploded so quickly after you posted that article. He's now gone. He's resigning as Attorney General. Have you heard from the accusers since this article was posted?
I think that there's a complicated wave of emotions whenever a woman or man steps forward with this serious an allegation. They're going through all those emotions right now, but several have reached out to say that they find it gratifying that these stories are being heard. Because, George, they hesitated for a long time, partly because of Schneiderman's power and his influence within the Democratic Party.
Well, that's what I wanted to get into. Schneiderman out there very publicly talking about Harvey Weinstein, talking about these allegations against other men, yet the women who are accusing him now had held back. Do you fully understand why?
They give a variety of reasons. Look, anytime you speak publicly about this kind of trauma and violence, especially in an intimate context, which some of this was, it's painful. It marks you. This was a brave thing that these women had to do. It was difficult for them. But also in this case, doubly so, because he is a power player within their worlds. These are all women closely connected to the Democratic Party in various ways. And because they say, in several cases, that he used his office and his power to intimidate and threaten them, saying that he could wiretap people, that he could intimidate people in various ways.
Let's get into that now with Dan Abrams for more on that. Number one, we now do know the resignation is taking effect at the end of the day, but the Manhattan DA's office now investigating. What kind of trouble could he face?
Well, he could face criminal trouble. I mean, there are 3 possible crimes here, right? Based on the reporting that Ronan and Jane Mayer did, you have the possibility of an assault based on the slapping. You've got the choking is a possibility as a separate crime, and the threats. Also a possible harassment crime. So you've got
all within the statute of limitations at this point?
Well, if for a misdemeanor, it would be within 2 years. For a felony, it would be within 5 years. Most people believe that based on the facts as laid out here, this would likely be a high-level misdemeanor, which would mean that it would have to be done within 2 years. But I think that most of the allegations that Ronan lays out occurred within the 2-year time frame, but it means they'd have to move quickly.
How about these threats to use his office in order to protect themselves and threaten them?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's another possible crime. Again, you're going to have to prove it, right? The interesting thing to me is that part of his defense is seemingly to admit that he did this stuff, right? The first thing he says publicly is it was role-playing. Well, by saying it was role-playing, you are in effect conceding I did what they are saying, but it was consensual. So he's now kind of boxed himself in, I think, as a legal matter where he can't say, well, I mean, he could, but I don't think he's going to say none of this ever happened. He's going to say it occurred within the context of some sort of, consensual role play, which is as clear from the article the women dispute.
And Ronan, one of the things you get into in the article as well is not only did the women hold back from accusing him publicly, they also stayed in the relationships for some period of time, and you really get into the whole psychology of the abuser in this case.
George, some were in a relationship with him at the time, but I want to point out to what Dan just said. These women, one after another, were adamant. This is not 50 Shades of Grey. This was not in an area of gray at all in their mind. This was assault. They said over and over again. This happened when they were fully clothed in many cases, not in a context where they gave any suggestion of consent. And in one case, George, this wasn't in a relationship at all. A prominent attorney who spoke to me said very clearly, he just came onto her at an event. And when she rebuffed him, he began calling her some really horrific epithets and slapped her across the face. More than one time, to the point where it left a mark. And we looked at that picture, and I'll tell you, it was upsetting to see.
One of the great ironies of this is that Schneiderman was ordered to review how the Manhattan DA had handled the Harvey Weinstein investigation. And now it's flipped, which is the Manhattan DA is now investigating the Attorney General for this behavior. I mean, it's a stunning, you have to understand, if you live in New York and you live in the sort of political world in New York, this is a stunning allegation and a stunning fall from grace.
And one of the things we're seeing, Dan, also is we've seen now tweets from Donald Trump Jr. and Kellyanne Conway taking this on. Of course, Schneiderman had also been a big antagonist of President Trump.
A huge antagonist of President Trump. Particularly, the amazing thing is on the issue of the way people treat women.
Incredible. Dan Abrams, Ronan Farrow, thanks very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.